What's up guys, this is Meeks from DTC. Today I'm going to be showing you how I do pellets for my parakeets. So Noodle loves these and I really enjoy this recipe because of the fact that it has a 6 months shelf life if it's stored in an airtight container. So if you make a big batch, it'll last about 3 months with regards to the amount that I'm feeding him every day. Give him about 10 to 12 grams per day. So here we're just gonna put all the grains together so that we can pop them in the oven and toast them. It's gonna be millet, oats, buckwheat, and quinoa. The other thing about this recipe that I really enjoy is I was sort of trying to find the best
nutrients friendly mix for my bird, and I was
smashing my head against the table trying to figure out what is the best thing to give to him, because everything has preservatives and fillers just to make it more affordable. It's so expensive, so I thought, well, let me invest this into something that's actually going to be good for the bird. All of the different ingredients that I've used in this recipe target certain nutrients. Like for example, I'll be adding in Brazil nut, which provides the bird with selenium, and yeah, just other things that the bird needs. So at the end, you'll see I use the Herbal Pet Every Pet formula. The reason I've done this is because it has vitamin D3, which is actually essential for the bird to be thriving, especially if they're not getting enough sunlight. During winter, you want to make sure that they have sufficient amounts of vitamin D3 in their diet just to be happy and healthy. I must say, Noodle tends to love moringa powder. I think it's something that really attracts him to the pellets because he's been going crazy over these things. So with regards to the macronutrients profile, per 10 gram serving, you're looking at 26 calories, 1 gram protein, 0.8 grams of fat, 1.2 grams of fiber, and 6 grams of carbs. Yeah, I'm just grating up some cuttlefish. I feel like this is necessary for the calcium that the bird needs. You can also use calcium carbonate. I just found that this is the most natural way to give them calcium. So you have to make sure that the calcium and phosphorus ratios are correct, which I've done in this recipe, so that the bird can actually create its own vitamin D3. If you're putting it out into the sunlight every day, the bird needs about, I'd say, 30 minutes per day of sunlight. If you can't provide that, then you need to be putting vitamin D3 into the diet, which is what this will do. It's also got some extra calcium. So now you're going to be putting all the grains which you toasted into a blender, and just making sure that it's a fine powder. You want the ingredients to be as evenly dispersed as possible. Obviously wait for it to cool down a little bit, and then you can chuck it into the blender. Now that it's all powdery, you're going to chuck in the rest of your ingredients, which are also dry ingredients. I tried to keep this recipe as dry as possible, again, to
just preserve the
or enhance the shelf life, if I can say that. It really helps that the shelf life is 6 months, and you don't need to be putting it into the fridge as long as it's in an airtight container. Now I'm putting in some wheat germ oil, and I'll be adding in some filtered hot water later on. You want to try and make sure that the dough is quite sticky, but not too sticky. It needs to be able to form a perfect ball. So you'll see me adding in some water. You can sort of just fiddle around with the texture and consistency that you like. If you're making the pellets and they are becoming a little bit dry, you can always add a little bit more water just to make it
more moldable.
More malleable. So my blender has given up at this stage, and it's just like, nope, it's not happening. So I had to put it into my mixer just to get it to sort of equalize nicely. Yeah, my mix was way too dry here, so I just added more water. So I actually excluded sunflower seeds from this recipe because of the fact that Noodle really enjoys to have them on its own, you know. So I wanted to still provide something that he enjoys. So I'll just chuck in like a teaspoon of sunflower seeds along with his pellets when I feed him in the morning, and he really seems to enjoy that. I cut these balls in half just purely because it's easier for him to handle the pellets when they're a little bit smaller. He enjoys holding them. I didn't want to make it too big and uncomfortable for him to try and
get in there because
it'll just split open and go all over the floor. You want to make sure that the bird is actually eating the pellets, so you try and get them as small as possible.
So here me and
my sister and I are just putting the pellets into the dehydrator, trying to get the moisture content out of there. And with regards to micronutrients in this recipe, it has calcium, phosphorus, vitamin A, vitamin D3, vitamin B12, zinc, and selenium. So a lot of the tonics that you'll see in the pet shops, they won't be necessary if you're adding these to their diets every single day. And you also don't want to have
too many
vitamin A levels too high because it actually can be toxic. Yeah, the pellets are ready. This is the next day. They've been in the dehydrator for about 12 hours now. You can see they're looking quite sturdy. So I'm actually going to draw half of these and use that every day for like a month and a half supply it would equate to. And then the rest I'm going to bag up just to make sure that they don't go rancid or, you know, spoil quickly. So yeah, I would reckon about 5 pellets. If you are feeding the bird 3 times a day, basically, you'd be giving 4 to 5 pellets maximum per serving if you're doing 3. My scale was a bit wonky for this video, so I ended up getting a new scale because I just got so frustrated with having to
what is it called? Tear. Tar?
Cool, so that's the rest of the pellets now. I'm actually going to vacuum seal these just to make sure that they are all good for later use. And if you want to, you can actually put them in the freezer. I mean, that'll extend the shelf life even more. Got my nifty little Bennett Reed. Yeah, so with regards to dehydrating fruits, veggies, and pellets in general, you can use an oven. I really wanted this dehydrator, so I went ahead and just, yeah, I got it because it was going to make my life easier. And I genuinely wanted to commercialize these pellets. I just thought, shit, this is so much hard work. I'll only be doing this for my bird, to be honest. But I did want to share it with the rest of you guys just to sort of tell you, like, listen, there is an alternative to having to buy pet food that you might not know, is this good for my bird? And here we go, there's Noodle.
Tucking in.
And he is extremely happy with his pellets. Yeah, and here's all the ingredients. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed.